our feet as we salute our real-life climate action hero, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down and relax. I mean, Iceman is doing that not because he likes to show what a great performer he is, but this was just an audition, so he's in my next movie. He's been asking me ever since he won The Apprentice that he wants to be in one of my movies. I said, well, I want to see the action. I want to see the performance. So this was all about, let me tell you. Anyway, you did a great job, Iceman. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today and hosting again this event. We really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to my partner in hosting this summit, President van der Bellen. I mean, he has been an extraordinary part over the years, and a great, great partner, always enthusiastic. Our partnership is exactly what it's all about. A conservative like me and the Green Party leader together, uniting in our mission to terminate pollution. Every year we show the world that creating clean air and clean water is not a political issue, but it is a people's issue. I also want to say thank you very much to Chancellor Stoker. I mean, it was wonderful to see you yesterday in your office, to smoke a little stogie. I have to say that you have good taste with the cigars. It was unbelievable. And it is really wild when you come here, and every year you come here, you see a different chancellor. I mean, it's like it's just wild. I mean, I come here and Monica says, oh, this time we have a different chancellor. He's from the Conservative Party. This time we have a chancellor from the Socialist Party. And this is how it goes on and on and on. But I tell you one thing, I've met them all. But you are without any doubt the most recent. Anyway. Now, all jokes aside, it was wonderful to talk to you yesterday. And in no time, I realized that you're not a party hack. You didn't give me the Republican stuff. You didn't give me the conservative stuff. You talked like someone that just wants to be a public servant. And I appreciate that so much because this is exactly what we need. Not someone that asks, is this a Republican idea or a Democratic idea? I mean, who gives a shit? Nobody. What we care about is to serve the people. And that's what you talked about, is serving the people. I also want to say thank you to the team who makes this summit such a huge success. Monica Langthaler and her whole team worked their butts off all year long to make sure that we all can come together and inspire the world. So thank you, Monica. Let's give her a big hand again. I also want to say, of course, thank you to my dear friend, Sir Tony Blair. I mean, I tell you, I don't know if you realize it or not, but you're one of my environmental heroes. You're one of my environmental heroes. A true leader here in Europe, and we will talk more about it later on when we have our discussion up here on stage about our relationship, but I owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude for the work we together did for California. So let's give him a big, big hand for the great, great leadership in environment. Thank you. Like I said, I will explain more about that, why we work together on this in California later on. And thank you also to all of our other amazing speakers for helping us to put the spotlight on this very important issue. You know, what's interesting is that every time I talk lately to environmentalists and to policy people, they say to me, says, Arnold, I mean, what is the point of fighting for a clean environment when the government of the United States says climate change is a hoax and coal and oil is the future? When the politicians in Washington don't care. You know what I say to them? Exactly what I said in my movie Kindergarten Cop to the kids. Stop whining. Stop whining. Whining doesn't change anything. Whining doesn't build anything. I know that sometimes politicians in Washington, D.C. or in many other capitals of the world won't always agree with everything that we do and that we believe in. If the capitals always had our best interest in mind, we wouldn't have the exploding deficits all over the world. We wouldn't have the immigration issues that enrage the people. We wouldn't have the massive inequalities. We wouldn't have the lack of infrastructure. We wouldn't have the homeless issues, and the list goes on and on and on. Because the world will always have problems and leaders who don't agree with us, or just terrible leaders. We have seen it over and over again throughout history, that sometimes problems need to be solved by the people. Sometimes the people need to rise up and get to work. Whether it is the women's suffrage movement in America, or the independence movement in India, or if it is the civil rights movement in America, or the anti-apartheid movement, all of those movements. It was the people that did the work. It was the people that became the heroes. And we need heroes, not whiners. We need solutions, not complaints. I've never believed in just complaining, because I believe in using every ounce of energy to solve whatever I might complain about. I remember the after-school programs. There was a time when it was very clear that 70% of the people, of the kids, come from a family where both of the parents are working. But the kids were let out of school after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was no one there to pick them up. So they drifted around in the town and they got into trouble with gangs, violence, alcohol, drugs. Then they were wondering why so many kids are going to juvenile detention. So I said, guys, we need after-school programs. The politicians said, we don't have the money for that. So I complained, and then I put together an initiative, and I put it on a ballot for the next election. I went directly to the people, and the people voted yes overwhelmingly with 57% of the votes to give another $500 million every year to after-school programs. So would have just complained, I would have wasted my time. I didn't whine, I didn't just complain, I complained, but I did something about it. And now, since then, we have been raising billions and billions and billions of dollars for after-school programs, and millions of kids are affected, and millions of kids are now getting after-school program tutoring, homework assistance, adult supervision, arts programs, music programs, sports programs, and so on. It's fantastic, the work that we've been doing. But this is like, don't just complain, do something. I know that it sounds a little bit like a motivational speech rather than a speech about the environment, but the men, you know why? Because it is. It is. That's because I want to motivate all of you to be heroes that we need. And it is because I've been through this before. I remember when I was governor of California, there was the Bush administration, the federal government. They were not interested at all in fighting pollution, not at all. But I was enthusiastic about it. I said to myself, California is such a big state. I mean, this is one of the biggest economies in the world. We have to fight pollution. We plowed ahead. I signed a law to reduce emissions. We created the Green Building Standards, a renewable portfolio standard, the Million Solar Roof Initiative, and the list goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden, the federal government came to me and they said, Governor, you can't do that. You cannot regulate your own air. This is a federal issue. I said, since when? I said, the Republican philosophy is that states' rights is what we are hailing. And all of a sudden you want to make it a federal issue? What's going on here? Federal government tried to block us from setting clean air standards. But did we freeze? Did we whine like little girly men? No. We sued them. We sued the government. We took the fight from court to court to court, all the way up to the Supreme Court. And there we won. That's exactly what we did, instead of whining. While they were sitting on their hands in Washington, we passed the first cap-and-trade program in the country. We signed the Global Warming Solutions Act. We set the strongest vehicle emission standards in America. And you know what happened? California cut emissions by 25%. And we raised our renewables from 15% to 50%. This year we hit 100% clean electricity more than 100 times. That's what happens when you stop whining and you start leading. And let me tell you something. We are not alone. There is so much great work that is going on around the world that I'm blown away by it. I mean, British Columbia in Canada has a carbon tax. That's real leadership. They've already cut public sector emissions by 34%, and they're investing billions and billions of dollars into clean energy and electrification, even in the remote towns. San Diego, Southern California. They set a goal for zero emissions by 2035. They're already down 19% since just 2019. They launched a community-owned utility, delivering clean electricity to the people. Fantastic work on a local level. Or Grenoble, France, named Europe's green capital in 2022. They cut emissions by 25% and turned car-clogged streets into bike highways. They planted thousands of trees and they showed their citizens true action. These places didn't wait for permission. They didn't make excuses. They didn't whine. They just got to work. They decided to be heroes. And it isn't just the states and local governments around the world leading the charge. No, businesses are doing it as well. And even though people say that companies can change, but that's garbage, because I've seen it firsthand. Apple, the biggest company on earth, cut its greenhouse gas emissions by over 60%. By over 60% since 2015, while growing their businesses. Google is already powering their global operation with 64% of clean energy. Microsoft, they're aiming to go carbon negative, not just neutral, but carbon negative by the year 2030. Just so in case you don't know what it means, that means that they will remove more pollution from the atmosphere than they're actually releasing. Think about that. Even the Xbox Council saves energy. 1.2 million metric tons of CO2 avoided just by changing the setting. Think about that. How about Amazon is deploying tens of thousands of electric vans? They hit 100% of renewable energy across their operations 7 years ahead of schedule. Now, Amazon is fantastic, not just because of their environmental work, but they also did my movie, The Man with the Bag. See what I'm saying? That's what he calls synergy. They did a movie where I play Santa Claus, which is coming out at Christmas time. So anyway, the bottom line is they're doing a great job. I love them. And Meta, or Facebook, has cut emissions by 94% since 2017. 94%. They've been at net zero in their operations since 2020. That's not just talk, that's action, those are solutions. And they can keep going on all day like that. Right here in Austria, they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, 98% of electricity production comes from clean energy here in Austria. Let's give Austria a big hand for the great work that they're doing. Rybnik in Poland, once called the smog capital of Europe, they used to have 130 smog days every year. Now just 12. Why? Because they stopped burning coal in homes and replaced old heating systems. They didn't complain, they just got it done. London's ultra-low emission zone is one of the greatest urban climate victories in the world. Since expanding the zone, nitrogen dioxide dropped over 20%, and fine particles dropped 29%, and compliance is nearly 97%. That's how you clean the air. That's how we make the air clean. All of these governments and companies are proving what we have proven in California, way back. You can't just sit around and make excuses because one guy in a very nice White House on Pennsylvania Avenue doesn't agree with you. I know all of you are thinking now, I hope, that Arnold attacks Trump and says some really terrible things about Trump, right? But that's not my style. First of all, I have a rule. I do not criticize a president outside of our borders, no matter who it is, no matter what party he belongs to or she belongs to. Second of all, I know that the people are sick and tired of the whining and the complaining and the doom and gloom. They want heroes. They want more complaints. That's not what we want, and that's not what we need. We have to win the people over. And the only way we win the people's hearts and minds is by showing them action that makes their lives better. And I'm not talking about making their lives better in 20 years from now, but I'm talking about making their lives better now. We have the power to do that. At every company, every university, every local state government, you hold the power that the federal government only wishes that they had. They wish they had this power. Because we can do things right now that people will feel immediately. See, the federal government is kind of a little slow and a little clumsy. They don't even have the relationship with the people the same way as we have. The reality is that 70% of the pollution gets reduced at the local level and at the state level, not at the federal level. I saw this in California, the power that we have in California. I tell you, that's where the power is. Let me just give you an example. If a president shows up or doesn't show up for a week in his office, no one cares. Most people wouldn't even know. But if the garbage collector doesn't show up for a week, you will know. After 1 day, the garbage will be piling up. After 2 days, it will start stinking in your neighborhood. And after 3 days, the rats will be arriving. And after 1 week, hell will break loose. That I can guarantee you. So this is the difference between federal and local. What happens on a local level, you know it right away. If you call a police officer and it doesn't show up while there's a burglary, you will know right away the difference. So that's the power of local government. That's because the real work gets done on a local level. In your cities, in your states, in your companies, and in your neighborhoods. That's where the power is. So to everyone out there asking, what should we do? I just say, stop whining and get to work. Be the mayor that makes buses electric. Be the CEO who ends fossil fuel dependence. Be the school that puts solar roofs up there on top, like the St. Andrews University did. They didn't ask government, they just went ahead and did it. If you lead and if you work and if you take action, people will follow you. You don't need to be the president to be a hero. You just need to care and get off your butts and get to work. We are surrounded by heroes here in this room. Look at this room. From the left to the right, we have heroes. Heroes don't send whiny tweets. They don't worry about someone else's inaction. They don't doom scroll. Heroes find a way to make an impact even when the odds are against them, and especially when the odds are against them. Heroes roll up their sleeves and they kick ass because they know that the job needs to get done. Heroes ask, if not me, who? If not now, when? You are the heroes that you've been looking for. So go out and kick some ass and get the job done. Thank you very much. Thank you.